Hello and welcome to a slightly different episode of To Get Lost. We've been excited to share this video with you all, and if you've been following our blog or our social media accounts, you probably have a bit of an idea of what we're about to say. Rather than just tell you, we thought we would share the story of how we gained a crew member this year. So pause this video, put the kettle on and settle down for the very first tale of the adventures of Tiny Cat, our youngest, cutest and possibly most useful sailing buddy. This is the story of the world's smallest kitty. It's quite an adventure, though it's not always pretty. So put a peg on your nose and let us begin, because this tiny tale begins in a bin. It's true when you're young you can't choose where you live, in a house or a tent, a china teapot or a sieve. Sadly, Tiny Cat was terribly unlucky. She started life in a bin, getting ever so mucky. With a skip and a pounce, she'd play when she could, amongst rotting pizza boxes and old chopped up wood. But sometimes it was scary, sometimes there were dogs, and she'd have to hide quickly underneath the logs. Sometimes it rained and those raindrops would drip, 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 into her bed under that skip. So although she was bold and although she was brave, sometimes she wished for a home that was safe. She gazed up at the stars, but never knew she could wish for a soft, cosy bed and a nice plate of fish. She'd never had a birthday, seen fairies or elves. Tiny Cat would have to make dreams come true herself. So off she trotted down the dusty dirt road, with a swish of her tail and a spring in her toes. On Tiny Cat's lips was a soft little purr, because out there she knew was a family just for her. She realised the path would sometimes be tough, but she'd get there at last if she tried hard enough. She walked and she walked till her paws were very sore, and eventually she came to rest on the rough stony floor. Looking up at the sky she could not understand. 100 boats sailing, but all on dry land. That's it, she thought. I've finally lost it, as she flopped down under a boat, exhausted. There she lay as the sun grew low, the crickets were chirping in the soft evening glow. Finally a safe place to rest her head, she scratched in the dirt to make her little bed. But suddenly this cat was filled with fear as a terrible shadow started to appear. It crept up slowly to where she was hidden, and a voice boomed out, "Is that a kitten?" She gazed up in terror, but to her surprise, staring straight back at her were a pair of kind eyes. She knew in an instant she had found her home in the eyes of this stranger who had found her all alone. These don't seem like monsters at all. Perhaps they'll help me, thought the cat most small. She had to be smart and she had to be clever to make these humans her family forever and ever. She knew not how to plea and she knew not how to beg, so she did the very best she could and rubbed against their leg. A hand reached down to stroke her and smoothed her matted fur. She replied the only way she could with a small, contented purr. "Poor thing, she looks hungry," a soft voice cooed. "Let's take her on board and give her some food." With a fish in her tummy and a bed with a cover, Tiny Cat had at last found someone to love her. So sit back, relax, take that peg off your nose. This story's first chapter has come to a close. Tiny Cat is safe and dry, just listen to her purr and await the next instalment of her tiny adventure.